And the other thing, which is a bit less standard, is the early war mill with the watchtower. That is just an insurance not to get tower rush too easily. I mean, at some stage, the problem with orc against human is that the human player can basically take advantage of any weak moment you got. So if you lose a fight, then you might just as well lose the game, because the human player can come in and tower rush you at pretty much any stage in the game. And the tower is there as sort of an insurance. I mean, it doesn't do huge amounts of damage or anything. I mean, it's not going to make that much difference, but it's a bit psychological, and it's also, how shall I put it? It's also really helpful. It's also helpful against trying to come in with sorceresses or all that kind of stuff. So the main thing is it's an insurance, and that's why he did it. So right here, Todd is definitely on the offensive, and Lynn does a very nice save with a speed scroll there, and immediately solves his grunt up and uses hold position to keep him in the back of the base. And only now has Todd gotten his first sorceress, whereas Lynn has already gotten his his second raider is coming out now, and his second spirit walker and everything. So you can see that Todd's attack was definitely a bit late. So Todd has retreated, and Lynn can actually go and creep something. This is pretty usual in the sense that what humans usually do is they do the tier 2 push just when their second hero comes out, and then try and kill a maximum of things, and if they see that they won't be able to finish the game then and there, they will just retreat back and go creep. And you as an orc player, you need to realize that, and you need to know that at that stage of the game you also have to go to creep, because you will usually have an experience disadvantage at that point, and you have to make it up for it in some way. And if you're not gonna creep when he's gonna creep, then you're just gonna make this disadvantage widen. Well, yeah, the Illyria's Flute of Accuracy wasn't really that helpful, so he sold it. And he got 2 heal scrolls instead of that, which is pretty good, especially because Todd also has 2 heal scrolls, and if he would fight without any heal scrolls against Todd, he would definitely not be in a good shape. Of course, the advantage for Todd, as always for a human player against an orc player, is that the orc player will have weaker units or respectively heroes after creeping, whereas the human player won't, because he can let his summons tank, because they're such great tanks, and he will probably have priests. He has only 1 at this point, but still, 1 priest is quite helpful. And the orc player has to salve up, so if the human player and the orc player creep at exactly the same time, and the human player comes in afterwards, directly to the orc player, while the orc player first has to retreat, because he will have to salve his units up. Lynn does sort of a mistake here by dispelling everything at the start, and that's not so smart, because after some time all his units will be slowed and he will lose a lot of damage output, and that's not really what you want in a longer fight against the human player. Usually, as an orc player, you want to against human, you want to keep your fights pretty short, because all your damage output, or most of your damage output, is in a burst damage, is in the first 20 seconds, let's say, because you'll have chain lightning, you'll have shockwave, and you only have mana for so many chain lightnings and shockwaves. Probably like 2 chain lightnings, or even just 1, and maybe 2 shockwaves. And so after that time, when you're out of mana, you really don't have that much damage output anymore. And plus, if you don't have the spell anymore at that point, then all your units will be slowed, and so your damage output, your total damage output of your army will still be even lower. So that's one reason why, if you can't run from a battle, like just now when it's in Lin's base, then you should keep at least one dispel for a mid-battle situation, so that you can dispel all the slow on all your units, because it's a zone dispel. So actually, Lin did something pretty interesting here, which was pretty smart, in the sense that Todd was in his base, and Lin actually had sort of the army advantage because he killed the Beastmaster, but the towers were going up, there was a lot of peasants, and it would be hard to reach, there were still sources, he had a lot of his units slowed and everything, so Lin decided to attack Todd's base. Why is that effective? Well, mainly because Todd has all his, or most of his peons, lumber peons, in Lin's base, so he can't repair buildings really quickly, and he can't call militia as much on his main base to defend without having his army there. So he could actually force Todd to TP to his own base, because otherwise he would have been able to take down a lot of peons and maybe a few buildings. So Todd really had to TP there. Here Todd comes straight back to do another attack, and he just got a heal scroll. And that is actually good for Lin, because the map is pretty big and units are not really that fast, so Lin could actually creep a spot in the meantime, and which gave him a nice item and pretty much level 4 on both his heroes. I mean, the Farseer is at like 14 experience, so that's really close. And that's one reason why human is not so good on this map, because it takes a lot of time for them to move around the map. Of course, Lin is not gonna follow Todd too much, because he doesn't want to fight too much outside of his base and outside of the reach of his shop and his towers and bows and everything. And actually the only thing Todd did was get a heal scroll on his Beastmaster, which is smart because, well, he might have gotten it because he saw the mana potion on the TC, and you really need heal scrolls against the shockwave at that point. So another surround on the Beastmaster, and you will see, yeah, something pretty interesting here is that actually Lin dispelled the invisibility on the Beastmaster, and that's pretty cool, because it's actually dispellable. There's something which a lot of people don't remember, and with the zone dispel of the Spirit Walkers you can actually do that, so that's something pretty smart that Lin did there. Of course you have to know approximately where the unit is in order to be able to dispel, zone dispel it, but since he was surrounded, that wasn't really an issue. Okay, so what is Lin doing now? Well, Lin is chasing his Sorceresses. Why the Sorceresses? Because they're the main disabler for Todd. And if Todd doesn't have Sorceresses, I mean, with just Spellbreakers and an Archmage, he's really not going to be able to fight this. I mean, of course, the Shockwave won't do damage against the Spellbreakers, but then again, he has Raiders, a Grunt, and Spirit Wolves. I mean, since he revived the Farseer. But without the slow, it's much harder for Todd to fight there. Yeah, I wanted to say there that Lin did a mistake by not dispelling the slow on the Farseer, but actually he did, and then Todd directly afterwards cast slow again. So maybe call it LAN ping or something, but that was really good play, or maybe lucky play by Todd, and he did really well by killing that Farseer. And so in the end, the Tavern revival of the Farseer wasn't that cool, because, well, I mean, it cost him basically, what was it, like, I think that's level 4, it's like 700 gold or something. And it's really expensive for not much. Uh,